Round two. So I'll try to cover the questions we didn't get to the first round. Okay. So I divided into a few sections. Actually, I was working on the slides after the panel. I can make it. I spent 5 minutes looking back, asking the question, what can we learn from the past? And what is AI? The opportunity around AI and healthcare. And then how do I think about investing? We touched on some of this, but I have a framework that you guys can do. Actually, this question did not come up, which is surprising, because everyone is talking about, promise or peril, good or bad. If you guys are interested, we can have a short discussion on this. And it's more fun if you ask questions along the way. Otherwise, it's boring. Okay, does this work? Anything else you guys want to cover? Okay. All right. So, sometimes it's good to step back and take a 100-year view. So, when did the internet first come out? When did the internet first come out? 1990. 82. Okay, I showed it, so that's meeting. When we say internet, technically it means TCP/IP. When we say web, then it means World Wide Web, right? We tend to use these interchangeably. But the reality is the internet came out in 83. It took 10 years for the web as we know it to come out. The first browser, Mosaic browser, and Netscape. And during those 10 years, internet was sputtering around. Once you gave it a UX, it took off. When did the first mobile phone come out? Don't disappoint me. 94.
What is it?
No. Saying 94. Other answers. 92. You guys are way off. 99.
86.
85. The first mobile phone came out in 73. We are celebrating 50-year anniversary. Our friend Marty Cooper. Most of you are from San Diego. He's our neighbor in Carlsbad. And in the case of mobile phones, the first one came out in 73. That's the big, definition of mobile was different, right? But mobile phones were puttering around until they got a UX. BlackBerry, it's the first time they got a good UX. When we had BlackBerry, we went from single-digit millions to 10, 20, 30 million. And then iPhone, we went to hundreds of millions. So the browser moment for mobile phone been 30 years later. Cloud, AWS was born in 2005, 2006. For the first 10 years, growth was okay. Took off when you gave it a UX. The UX for cloud, all kind of IoT devices. Reza and I worked on this when Reza was at Real Networks. Again, without a UX, things are happening in the background. We don't know it. Right? So when did AI first come out? The first algorithm came out in 1951. You don't believe it? I was not there at the time, but Reza is speaking. Okay, no. No, so this gentleman, Christopher Spatchy, I never met him. But that's one answer. Huh? '56. Yeah, there is a debate between 51 and 56. 42, I have not heard. But it doesn't matter, guys. It took 70 years for the iPhone moment, the web browser moment. AI has been around for a long time. It has been helping us. I'll talk about that. You and I could not interact with it until we got a good UX. Now everybody's talking about it because we can interact with it. So it's the UX. It's not the technology inside. I left Qualcomm in January this year after spending a decade at Qualcomm. Before that, 2 decades at Intel. By the way, I started working when I was 5. That's I said, with internet, I worked with mobile, I worked with cloud. Another year at Qualcomm, another year with a mobile phone is not that interesting. AI is where the action is. One of you said AI is exciting because it is bigger than internet, mobile, cloud. It is true. I put my 10,000 hours. Actually, my master's was in AI. My first jobs were in AI around expert systems. I'll touch on that. But earlier this year, I said, okay, let's look at magazine covers. It's a good proxy for what people are talking about. And this is so. Just to summarize, you guys have been talking about this for the entire day. So this thing is here. This thing is happening. This thing is bigger than all previous technology revolutions. I touched on truly global. It's not Silicon Valley or San Diego thing. It's happening around the world. Another thing, we touched on this earlier. Big companies are investing, startups are there, but governments are investing. Universities are investing, non-profits are investing. Generally, this doesn't happen when new technologies come out, right? It's different. And this will impact each one of us. Okay. So, I'm writing a book. The title of the book is The Era of Possibility. It looks at AI 100 years. So we can debate 42, 51. The first way was rules-based, expert system. That AI was very different than what we are talking about now. That's what in history people call it. Then over the last 15 or 20 years, with the cloud, data, ML is how we thought about AI. Then over the last year, maybe over the last 2 or 3 years, large language models, generative AI, it has captured everybody's. Then now we are talking about AGI. The machine is smarter than human. How happened?
AI took over.
Okay. So, a good way to think about this is AI has been invisible until it got the UX. It has absolutely been a storm. It has absolutely impacted us, benefited us. It has been invisible. I'll give you some examples. Today, I can use text. I can go from text to poetry. I can create new pixels. I can create new drugs. We are truly, I can write new programs. We are truly in the creator economy, creator revolution. Every one of us is a creator. You know, I had a keynote at this Inc. conference in Bangalore, and I was promised 500 people. Guess how many people showed up? 1,000, 5,000 or 6,000. Crazy, right? Because you know, India, 1.4 billion people, now the most populous country in the world. Everybody can be a creator. So the power of one-to-one is incredible. Then we are talking about the age of abundance. So let's take some examples. So expert system, you know, it's basically if then else statement. Right? If you have fever, if you have rash, maybe you have measles. It was all predictable. It was all definitive. And over the last 15, 20 years, we have benefited from big data and ML. You know, the examples I use, Uber. If I call Uber from here to my home, La Jolla, Reza does the same thing from here to my home. His car will be different, his driver will be different, his fare will be different, because Uber has learned from our behavior, knows what kind of driver I give 5 stars. When there is surge pricing, do I accept or do I wait? Uber is classic big data ML. TikTok is classic big data ML. When you go to Netflix, when you go to Amazon, you know, if you bought something before, recommend. My friends bought something before, it recommends. It's classic data ML. Even Google search is big data ML. So it is paradoxic. It is a paradox that when OpenAI came out, Google took a hit on the stock price. And Google has most AI deployments and usage. So we all benefit from these things. I haven't thought about them as AI. You know, us industry people, we know. Most people, we didn't think of this as AI. And so with large language model, I'll talk more about this. But basically, every vertical is getting impacted. I'll take a double click on healthcare, but we can talk about wellness, education, marketing, any number of sectors. Ray Dalio is saying you don't need to work 5 days or 7 days. You can be okay with 3 days. Bill Gates is saying 4 days is okay. And you know who's who saying, you know, you work because you want to work. You don't have to because you'll be much more productive. And so the age of abundance is here. It's coming. The question is, how will we embrace it? How will we benefit? So that's a little bit about how I think about AI. Now let me shift gears and talk about AI and healthcare. And if you have NVIDIA stock, the rest of you are missing out. um, so, Jensen, this is a slide from his keynote in January this, and he had been working on this accelerated computing sometime. We saw it very early. This is what he said. If you look at, the question is why now, right? This is just data. Basically, model size over time. Look at the size of the bubble. Big GPT, and the ones that come beyond that, it's like 10x. Some of you mentioned this. How is healthcare unique? I put this slide after our panel. Different ways to think about this. If you think about rules, other AI things generally static. Healthcare, it's a moving target. The algorithm is a moving target. If you look at, and you simulate, for general purpose things, yes, for a self-driving car, it's possible. Might run into an accident. It's possible. But you cannot. Now you can say you can simulate an animal. Okay, that could be a proxy. But it's very different way to think about this. Can you experiment? You can do all kind of experiments in fintech, marketing, customer support, and this and that. Driving cars, you can. To a reasonable point. Healthcare, you cannot. Feedback. When you're training, when you're inferencing, you get immediate. Healthcare, the lead times are so long that it's not the same thing. And then availability of data, we talked about this a lot. General purpose, internet-based, you can use data. Self-driving cars. When was Tesla born? How old is Tesla? I'll give you 4 answers. 20 years old, 10 years old, 5 years old, 2 years old. 20 years old. Right? And Elon and team have been working on autonomous and self-driving for maybe 15 plus years. They've been collecting all this data. Google has been doing the same thing. It is a lot of data. In healthcare, data, what works for cancer, what works. Different ballgame. Now, the reason people are so excited about AI and healthcare is because the upside potential. So, despite these challenges, there's a lot of investment. I found this quote interesting. Basically, the y-axis here is number of papers. You can think of, because you're not going to have real data. Research and research papers is another way, the proxy. This is asymptotic. Generative AI. Maybe this, you guys are a very smart crowd. Maybe it is obvious to you. When I talk about like a general purpose crowd, at GPT, I take text, I create poetry. You'll get it. Image app, I have some pixels. I do pattern matching. I create new pictures. I'm creating new pixels. You'll get it. Video, same thing. If I go wrong on any one of those, the cost of being wrong is small. In healthcare, we're taking DNA, protein, molecular level data. You're creating new DNA, new proteins, new sequence of molecules. That's generative AI. It's another example of text to poetry. That has profound applications. If you guys are working with NVIDIA or know of the work that NVIDIA is doing, healthcare is the number one investment. Because Jensen, very good CEO, he thinks in decades, not in years. They have investment for the next couple of decades. Using generative AI to create new molecules, DNA, proteins. So if I summarize, here the opportunity at the intersection. Number one is drug discovery. Genentech, all sorts of companies. We have made a lot of progress in curing multiple diseases. And yet, we don't have a cure for cancer. We don't have a cure for diabetes. We don't have a cure for Alzheimer's, and so on and so forth. Why is that? There have been investments in time and in money, but they have not been enough. Yeah, I can cut that by 10x or 100x. Maybe the single largest impact or benefit of AI in healthcare is going to be in drug discovery. Second is personalized medicine. The one-to-one, we talked about this earlier. If I can do personalized one-to-one medicine, uniquely targeting your lifestyle, your DNA, what works for you, etc., etc. That changes the game. Early detection with radiologists. If I can, in the US is 330 million people. There are 70 million people living with diabetes. Only about 35 million know it. The other 35 million don't know. You cannot detect with blood tests. We can change that. Early detection is the name of the game. Right? That will have profound implications. And then there are other kind of benefits. So the amount of money people spend, the amount of time people spend, the insurance, filling out paperwork. You can offload all of that to your AI. Doctors and nurses can spend more time with the patient. Hospital systems are ancient. Some not even moved to cloud. Old servers on premise. Actually, Andy Jassy, in an interview a couple of days ago, he said 90% of enterprises, 90% of data is still on premise. So, we have been, AWS has been growing like this. Yet, the US, only 10% is on AWS and Microsoft and Google. And then, in places like Latin America, multiple hours get to your hotel. It's not accessible, not affordable. If AI can change that, that will have profound impact. So, not saying it because I'm here. Um, the number one vertical where AI has the potential to change the game, to transform, has to be. So now let me switch gears and go to investment. So opportunities, every one of these buckets, right? I've been investing for maybe 5 years. Is this not working? Check. Okay. I was in Intel Capital for a few years, but then I've been investing as an angel for the last 5 years. I've been investing at the intersection of technology and healthcare. These things have long lead time. Beyond solving the problem or beyond capitalizing on the opportunity, here are some trends I've seen. Number one, lot of AI, lot of ML in healthcare. And it did not start this year. This has been happening for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Data analytics, you see a lot of that. Pre-COVID, I would go to the doctor. COVID accelerated this trend. Now the doctor comes to me, nurse comes to me. How do they come to me? Through my mobile device, through my wearable device. Instead of having $100,000 or $1 million equipment, now it's a consumer device that they interact with. I think that's a real trend. RPM, telehealth. We have been talking about telemedicine, telehealth, I don't know, 20 years. Mayo Clinic has been doing it for such a long time. Now we see all kind of startups popping up. This is actually happening. Maybe COVID accelerated. And lastly, I see a lot of SaaS business model. SaaS has been successful, has been a good investment in the enterprise space the last 15 years. You see that business model coming to healthcare. I mean, does that capture all the trends? Anything else you want to add? Okay. Been seeing charts like this on LinkedIn and so on and so forth. I found this around AI and healthcare. Anyway, if you want a copy of this, just so there's a lot of action. This is about 15% of startups that got funded this past year. A little secret, these are my top 20 healthcare investments, the top. So I said, hey, do the 5 trends map. You see AI, many of them have AI. Almost everything has data analytics, many variable opportunity, many telehealth, telemedicine, RPM, and then a lot of SaaS. So it's really opportune time. Okay, I'll close with, maybe we'll take some questions. Is AI promise or peril? So I posted this on LinkedIn. I did not leave it. I'll come. Only 4% said peril. This is a week ago. And I posted this maybe 6 or 9 months ago. It was like 60-40. maybe peer pressure is having an impact. By the way, the other stat that I found very interesting, US was third party McKinsey report. In the US, that report said 40% positive, 60% concern in the US. If you ask the same question in China and India, 70 or 80% positive, 20 or 30% negative. Maybe as Americans, we are tentative. We were tentative. I think it's changing. So I'm actually doing a debate in a couple of days on this topic. So I put this slide together. What are the reasons to be optimistic? And what are the reasons to be skeptical? So on the left-hand side, you say productivity, solving problems, fully global, doing good, healthcare, education, agriculture, affordability, accessibility. On the right-hand side, my job go away. Taking another run at haves and have-nots. Hallucination. By the way, is hallucination a good thing or a bad thing? How many of you think it's a good thing? Okay. So 10% of you think it's a good thing. I was on some podcast, it had a different spin. Hallucination is like creativity. Actually, when you ask for a poetry, that's hallucination. So being creative is a good thing when that's what you intend. But when you ask for 2 plus 3, and then you don't, then you want an answer. So it depends on your perspective. But anyway, this is a raging debate. How many of you, I biased you guys, how many of you are on the left-hand side? Okay, so 60. How many of you on the right-hand side? Few of you. Okay. Freedom on the promise side.
You mean my left side and your left?
It's all perspective, yes. Okay, so I think my time is up. AI is bigger, better. We are heading to age of abundance. It will change everything. AI and healthcare is where the action is. Lots of opportunity. I think there's an investment session. This is the right place. This is the right time. Put your money where your mouth is. Okay. Thank you, guys.